Hello, my name is SJBIT, working as assistant professor in the Department of ECE, SJBIT. Today we will be discussing about communication theory subject. The first module is amplitude modulation. The textbook we are supposed to refer is Communication System by Simon Higgins and Moher, 5th edition, John Whaley, India Private Limited, 2010. So before moving on with the content, first let me give an introduction or brief out what are the topics we'll be covering in today's class. That is the introduction. What do you mean by introduction? What is the block diagram of communication system? Introduction about each blocks in the communication system. Types of communication system. So here, first is we need to understand what are the important elements of the communication system. So any system we take, any information if we want to transfer from one place to another place, we will use the system called as communication system. So it is a process of conveying or transferring information from one point to another. Means if you want to speak to your friend, you are using a mobile phone, you are sending the information through the mobile phone. So this is a communication. From one point to another point, we are able to communicate our information through mobile phone. So it is a process of establishing connection or link between 2 points for information exchange. So what is the block diagram? What are all the things being present here is, one is information source, next is the transmitter, the channel, receiver and the destination. So here this part, information source and the transmitter, it comes on the transmitter side. The receiver and the destination comes on the destination side. So this is a channel which is used as a medium to transfer the information from one point to another point. It may be wired channel or it may be a wireless channel. Since it's a channel, it is prone to noise. So noise source can be anything. Depending on the medium, noise varies. So the first block diagram is information source. The message or information to be communicated originates in the information source. I am speaking. I am telling something. That is the information. It can be words, it may be group of words, it can be code, it can be data, symbols or signals, etc. So all these type of information can be transferred from one point to another point. And there are different types of data also, as I said, words, voice, text message, video message, anyway. So how to send this? We can't send the information as it is from here to some other point. We need certain medium. We can't send the data as it is. We should alter the data such a way that it reaches the receiver in a correct manner. So the objective of this transmitter block is to collect the incoming message signal and modify it in a suitable fashion. Here it is given as if needed, but maximum percentage the modulation is done for the information. So how do we do the modulation? Such that it can be transmitted via the chosen channel to the receiving point. Means I am speaking certain words A, B, C, D, E, F. So that has to be transferred to the receiver side. We can't send the data as it is. It has to be given certain possible strength, and then the data has to be transmitted. The third block in communication system is the channel. So it is the physical medium which connects the transmitter with that of the receiver. It is like a intermediate structure between your transmitter and the receiver. So what is this physical medium? The physical medium, it can be a copper wire, it can be a coaxial cable, fiber optic cable, waveguide, or it is not at all a wired medium. It can be just a free space or it can be a atmosphere. So a channel, it is just a medium which carries the data from transmitter to receiver through these types of channels. The next part is the receiver. The receiver receives the incoming modified version of the message signal from the channel. So after receiving it, it processes the data such that the modified data can be recovered back to create the original form of the message signal. Here demodulation comes into picture. So whatever the information we are sending, that we represent it as a signal. It is a physical quantity which varies with respect to time or space, or even it can be independent or it can be a dependent variable. Usually any message signal, it will be in the electrical waveform that is carrying information. M of t is equal to is cos of omega t plus phi. So what is M of t? It is the message signal. What is A? It is the amplitude or peak amplitude of the message signal. W, it is the frequency which is expressed in terms of radians per second. And what is this phi? Phi is a phase. So any wave we take, it will have three characteristics. One is the amplitude, another one is the phase, another one is the frequency. So what are the types of signals available? Two types, one is analog signal, another one is the digital signal. Coming to the analog signal, if the amplitude of the signal continuously varies with respect to time, or if the signal contains infinite number of amplitudes, then we call it as a analog or continuous. You can see in the diagram, the amplitude is continuously varying with respect to the time. So these type of signals, we call it as analog signal, or we can also call it as continuous signal. The other type of signal is the digital signal. So here, if the signal contains only two discrete amplitudes, what are those amplitudes? Amplitude 0, amplitude 1, or you can say logic 0 and logic 1. Then it is called as a digital signal. With respect to the communication, signals are classified as two types. One is baseband signal, another one is band pass signal. What is this baseband signal? If the signal contains zero frequency or near to zero frequency, it is called baseband signal. What are the examples? Voice signal, audio signal, video signal, biomedical signals, etc. Then what is band pass signal? If the signal contains band of frequency, whereas in baseband it was 0. Here it contains a band of frequencies away from 0. It is called as band pass. What are the examples? AM and FM signal. Next, we are constantly been telling we'll send a message signal. So what is a message signal? It is a sequence of symbols. For example, you want to send some text, Happy New Year 2020, 2022, 2023, whatever it is. So each digit can be converted to a suitable form and it can be sent across. Then what is the information? Information means the content present in the message is called the information. So here information is inversely proportional to probability of occurrence of the symbol. Now, how do we measure the information? Information is measured in terms of bits, decits and nats. So what are the communication system limitations? So here to implement the communication system, we need transmitter, receiver, channel, which are the hardware components. So what happens is communication system becomes complex and it is expensive. The second limitation is the bandwidth and the noise. As you are transmitting the signal through the channel, the effect of noise is there in the signal. So it can be reduced by providing more bandwidth to the stations. But what happens is, if you increase the bandwidth for a single station, then the total number of stations which can be accommodated becomes less. So if you want to avoid the noise, you have to go for larger bandwidth. If you go for larger bandwidth, number of channels which can be or number of users which can be accommodated, that becomes less. The third limitation is signal to noise ratio, SNR. We expect noise to be as minimum as possible. If noise is less, then we say the signal is of good quality. So noise should be low so that to increase the channel capacity. But avoiding noise is like a unavoidable aspect of the communication system. So any system we take, there will be noise. So depending on the message signal and what do we have to do, there is a process called modulation. Modulation is a process of changing some characteristics of a carrier wave in accordance with the instantaneous wave of the modulating signal. So there are three types: amplitude modulation, frequency modulation and phase modulation. So we'll take up these topics in the later video. Before moving on with the amplitude modulation, you need to understand what is the need for modulation, or you can say what are the advantages of modulation. The advantages of modulation are, you can go with reduction in height of antenna, you can avoid mixing of signals, you can increase the range of communication, multiplexing is possible, it improves the quality of reception, it allows adjustment in the bandwidth. So these are all the reasons why we should go for modulation. So now based on what type of modulation you want, the particular characteristics you can vary. So in the next video we will study about the amplitude modulation. Thank you.